Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have got such an exciting, unbelievable video to share with you today, and I hope you love it as much as I do. But once you see my technique, I also want you to put in the comment section what you would use. So once you know what I'm talking about, you'll know exactly what I mean. What would you use to create what I'm creating in today's video? Now we are going to be using the Love Heart Sweets. As soon as I saw these left over in the Christmas tin, I actually don't like them. I don't eat them. I thought, I could put them in resin, or I could actually make a silicone mold of them, or I could use this technique. We're going to be using the silicone mold putty from Just For You Online, and the first step for me is to create a base. So I am just using some generic non-branded transfer tape to create my base before I mix up the putty. These are the sweets. Now, if you don't have these in your country, you're not missing out. They are a chalky, awful sweet, but Tim loves them. I found one more pack in the Christmas tin and I stole them. And then I had to kind of say to him, sorry, I've stolen your sweets. Now, the silicone putty, I've used it in previous videos. It is a 1-to-1, totally skin safe. You can measure them using the spoons provided. Now, I'll be honest, it's not so easy to get a level in these spoons, but I just do my best and I kind of push the putty down and create almost like a level in the spoon myself. And actually what I did decide to do was weigh these out. Now you don't have to do this, you can just use the spoons, but I wanted to eyeball it. And once I thought, I think I've got pretty much 50-50 exact. Let me just weigh it and see if eyeballing it kind of does the job. Now, first up, I weighed the white, and then second up, I weighed the purple, and they both came in at 16 grams. Couldn't believe it. I was bang on. So just fill the spoon up, tap across the surface with your finger, and you are good to go. 50-50, and then you smush them together until they are one color. So they start off with this white and purple, and then once you squeeze them and squeeze them and squeeze them for around about a minute, you will finally see that both colors completely blend, and you'll be left with this gorgeous purple shade. I'll be honest, guys, this was a last minute, I could try this kind of thing. It wasn't planned, it wasn't on my calendar, it wasn't on my list of things to do, but I thought if this works out, I might as well film it, because if it is gonna be as amazing as I think it's gonna be, I'm gonna want to film a video on it anyway, so I might as well just press record from the offset and make it a video. So I've just pressed the putty in my hand as if I'm making like a flour tortilla, just trying to get it quite flat. Then it's time to push my Love Heart Sweets down in. If you don't have these Love Heart Sweets, they are basically round chalky sweets with a heart on, and each sweet has got an individual message on it. So it's things like marry me, or meant to be, or kiss me. Each sweet has got a cute little message on it, and I often see these Love Heart Sweets used as wedding favors. When you're having a wedding and everyone sits down at their seat and there's always a little gift for each guest, I often see these sweets used at weddings, and I give mine to Tim because I do not like them. There's something about the chalk. I'm not a fan of chalky sweets. I like gummy sweets. Anyway, I'm going off on one. Here you see me pushing it down into the silicone putty. Now, this silicone putty is fast cure. You do not have long. So once you've mixed it together, get it down, get your items shoved in. And this is where I want you to tell me, what would you shove into your silicone putty? Because guys, when it came to demolding, I literally sat there and I was talking to myself like, stop it, stop it. This is unreal. And if this works out the way I want it to work out, it is going to be an unbelievably exciting result and project for you guys to actually do at home as well. So yeah, let me know what you have laying around the house that you could shove in and make a replica mold of. Of course, what you do with the mold at this point is up to you. Are we going to use resin? Are we going to use eco? Well, we're actually going to use polymer clay to create our Love Heart Sweets. I really chose polymer clay for two reasons, and that is because it has an unlimited work time. And the second reason was really that I'm looking for those really beautiful pastel shades that come in the Love Heart Suites, and polymer clay is going to give me that. If I work hard and mix some colors together, I'm going to be able to color match so much more stress-free than if I was trying to color match with epoxy resin and or eco. Polymer just seemed like the natural choice for me. Now, honestly, the minute I pulled out that first Love Heart polymer clay suite, it was like a wow moment. It looked exactly like the original Love Heart suite, which is exactly what I was going for. Now remember, there are so many different ways you could do this. You could simply just put the suites directly in resin, saving this entire step. However, I just didn't want to do that. It's been done. I've seen thousands of videos of people putting Love Heart suites in resin, and I just thought I want to try something different and see if this one works. Now, as I'm pressing the clay down into my own mould, you can see on the left-hand side, they are the original suites. That is what they look like. They've got this raised embossed surface with these gorgeous little cutesy quotes on them. And yeah, I was just really shoving my clay down into my mould just to make sure that it picks up all of those letters and all of the detail. And oh my goodness me, there's no other words other than I was totally floored, truly floored. I loved every single one of them. They are quite messy. Here's the thing. I've said it before that this was kind of like an unplanned, but I might as well film it anyway, just in case it works out kind of video. I could have done a much neater, much better kind of job at creating the mold itself. I laid the putty down, I pressed the suites down into the putty, and honestly, they're wonky. They're all a little bit skew whiffy. They're all a little bit left, right, up, down. None of them are utterly perfect. But for what I'm using it for, that's fine. That's okay. Now, there are going to be questions raised here about the copyright side of things. I am pretty sure that you would not necessarily be able to make a silicone mold of Love Heart Suites and sell them on. I am confident there will be a copyright in there somewhere. And that is why I wasn't too bothered that my actual putty mold wasn't perfection. It definitely wasn't. Some of these were coming out fat on one side and thin on the other side. So if you do go and create this, just know that there is likely to be a copyright attached to this. So make sure that you are only making them for your own use and your own purposes and not necessarily to be sold on. I decided then to make a nice pale yellow. I added some white into a really bright yellow, and I molded them together. I put them through my pastel maker to give me this gorgeous pastel shade. And the fun just kept going. This is the beauty of using polymer clay. It is so fast. You can create as many colours as you want and just shove it in there, pull it out, and then just keep going. You could literally make hundreds of these in the space of just an hour or two, as opposed to waiting for eco to dry or resin to cure overnight. Like, it is long. Polymer came through for the win. Now this one here, I just added in some of that really deep, rich coral colour with some white to bring me more of a pastel shade. Now there's no denying it, these are messy, as they are so messy, and of course shoving polymer down into a mould really did create its own issues. So I did take my clay cutter and I went round each and every single one to get them as rounded as possible. This is what we're looking like. This is how many we've created. Now it was at this point I knew I needed to highlight and give some colour to the highlight embossed heart and the words. Like, this is an original Love Heart suite. I'll be honest, you can't really see it in this light, but trust me when I say the heart and the marry me are a different colour. They're almost like a really subtle pale pink colour. So I did decide to go ahead and order myself a stamp. I didn't have this colour in. I ordered a nice pinkish reddish stamp. I figured this would do the job of just highlighting those embossed important areas. You do want to make them look as real and as genuine as possible. And this is where I sped the video up because this was a little bit time consuming. I thought I could do them all in one go, but that was way too ambitious. I had to stamp them all individually and it took forever. I didn't go crazy hard with the stamp because I didn't want them to be as red as the stamp is. I just did some light, gentle touches until I was really, really happy. Now, when I say some of these just did not make the grade, they didn't make the cut, they were so wonky, and honestly, it got to the point where I couldn't even stamp some of them because I just created them super wonky. Also to note, these were put in the oven as per the polymer clay instructions. I totally forgot to mention that part. What are we going to do with them now? You can really do anything you want. You could make little stud earrings, pendant earrings, necklaces. You could put them into little pendant molds. I'm going to throw all of them into a coaster. And when I say all of them, I just means I mean the ones that made the grade. Like some of them really weren't even stamped properly. So I just kind of went through, picked out the ones that I felt would work well, and they're the ones that are going in the coaster. This was definitely a suggestion from my patrons. I took this over to my Patreon page and I was like, what do I do now? I can't just leave it there. What do I do? And quite a few did come back and say, put them in a coaster. And then I had some other suggestions as well. So thank you so much to my patrons. Now you would have seen there, I'm going to be using the polyurethane in the black. This is the Polycraft that I get from I Love Mixed Media here in the UK. The link is below for you. I'm not an affiliate. I don't earn money if you spend money at I Love Mixed Media, but she has given you guys a discount code, which is down below. So again, the black polyurethane is a 30 second mix time, part A, part B by weight, and just get it mixed, get it poured as fast as your heart can take it, because this stuff cures about as fast as the mould putty from Just For You online. So if you are interested in anything you see in today's video, everything will be linked below, including my Amazon storefront where you will find everything polymer clay. Now you can see here I did have some polyurethane left over, so I did pour some into the mould to my right hand side. But here's the thing, I didn't want much. I made too much. Surprise, surprise. I made too much, but I really only want a thin layer because I don't want to bury my polymer clay Love Heart sweets. And you just have to know your depths, work out your depths and kind of test it up against the sweets. And then I just kind of moved them around until I was happy that all of the spaces were filled and everything looked okay. And if I saw a gap, I tried to nudge the sweets over a bit to fill that gap with another sweet. And that is pretty much how it went. I then used what I had left to put into the pendant mold, but I have to hold my hands up here, guys, and say, I hated this. I did not like the pendants. They were not rocking my world. They were not filling my heart with joy. It was the coaster that was really doing it for me. And this was about 30 minutes later because of course this polyurethane dries and cures super fast. And it was time to pour the resin. Now, this is real time. You might think that your video has frozen. It has not frozen. Do not turn off your television. This is real time. I was pouring so slowly. I didn't know if I needed to do this. I wanted it to go in and around all of those sweets and not give me aggravation with loads of air bubbles. So I poured really slowly, letting that resin do its own thing and flow in and around all of the sweets before hitting it with my heat gun and then filling up the coaster. Again, it's cold. I didn't hot bath my resin. If you want to reduce bubbles in your resin, there are so many different ways to do it, but usually giving your bottles of resin a nice hot bath before you mix them up will reduce those bubbles. Equally, sometimes I'm just lazy. I'm lazy. So yeah, I just poured a little bit of resin in, hit it with the heat gun, and then all of the resin that I poured in after that was gonna get that heat and release its own bubbles. And this is 24 hours later. It is so pretty, so pretty. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think. If you have enjoyed this technique, then please do not forget to give. See, you can tell I never ask this. I never ask you guys to help me out so much. Please give this video a thumbs up if you have found this technique helpful and if it's given you ideas of what you could put into your silicone putty, what you could make a mold of and then replicate 3,000 times over, because that is exactly what this technique gives you. It gives you weeks and months of reusing that mold to create your pieces. Now, this is what it looks like against the real sweet, and I'm sorry, they are about as close as I could possibly get. Honestly, I love it. I think it's a total win, a game changer. I'm in love with the end result. Again, if you've liked it and you've enjoyed it and it has inspired you, do let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, let me know what you've got laying around the house. That's the beauty. What have you got laying around the house that you could shove into the silicone? Like, have you got an old heirloom piece of jewellery that, by the way, would be perfectly fine, I'm sure, as long as it hasn't got tons of little indentations. But like, what would you shove into your silicone putty to create something that you could then mass produce? I've loved it. I'm glad you're here. If you've been with me in the live chat, I massively appreciate you. Thank you so, so much. Ooh, I'm so excited for this video. I will see you in the next one. Bye.